Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Early life. Charles Van Dell Johnson, known professionally as Van Johnson, was born on August 25, 1916, in Newport, Rhode Island. He was the only child of Loretta Snyder Johnson and Charles E. Johnson, a plumbing contractor. His childhood was difficult. His mother left the family when he was very young, and his father struggled with alcoholism. Despite this, Johnson developed an interest in performing arts early. He sang in church choirs, took part in school plays, and dreamed of a career in show business. After graduating from Rogers High School in 1935, he moved to New York City to pursue his ambitions. Stage career and entry into Hollywood. In New York, Johnson worked odd jobs while auditioning for theater roles. He began performing in nightclubs and stage productions, eventually joining the off-Broadway revue, New Faces of 1936. He gained more experience in the 1930s and early 1940s, appearing in stage musicals and as a dancer in Broadway productions like Too Many Girls, 1939. By 1940, Johnson had caught the attention of Hollywood scouts. After moving to California, he secured small parts in films and served as an understudy for Gene Kelly in the Broadway to Hollywood transition of Pal Joey. Rise to stardom at MGM. Johnson's big break came after he signed with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, in the early 1940s. He became one of the studio's most bankable stars, particularly during World War II, when many leading actors were serving in the military. Johnson, rejected for military service due to a metal plate in his head from a car accident, became a wholesome, all-American presence on screen. Key films of the 1940s: 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, 1944, a war drama where Johnson played Lieutenant Ted Lawson, gaining critical acclaim. Two Girls and a Sailor, 1944, a musical hit pairing him with June Allyson and Gloria DeHaven. A Guy Named Joe, 1943, a wartime fantasy with Spencer Tracy and Irene Dunne. State of the Union, 1948, political drama alongside Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. His boyish charm, red hair, and cheerful demeanor made him one of the era's most beloved matinee idols. Career in the 1950s and 1960s. As the 1950s progressed, Johnson expanded into more diverse roles. The Caine Mutiny, 1954, a standout performance as Lieutenant Steve Merrick opposite Humphrey Bogart. Brigadoon, 1954, a musical fantasy with Gene Kelly and Sid Charisse. The Last Time I Saw Paris, 1954, romantic drama with Elizabeth Taylor. He worked steadily in films and on television throughout the 1950s and 1960s, though his popularity began to decline as Hollywood moved away from the studio system. Still, he remained a reliable supporting actor in films and a frequent guest star on TV shows. Later career and stage work. From the 1970s onward, Johnson found renewed success on stage and television. He appeared in touring productions of musicals such as The Music Man, Guys and Dolls, and Damn Yankees. On television, he guest starred in popular series like Murder, She Wrote, The Love Boat, and Fantasy Island. He also worked internationally, appearing in European films and stage productions. Personal life. Johnson married Evangeline Evie Nance, the former wife of actor Keenan Wynn. In 1947, the marriage was arranged by MGM and lasted until 1968, producing one daughter, Shotzi Nancy Johnson. Known for his genial personality on set, Johnson was well liked by colleagues. Off-screen, he lived relatively quietly compared to many Hollywood stars, though there was long-standing speculation about his private life, particularly regarding his sexuality. Legacy Van Johnson was a quintessential boy next door Hollywood star, representing optimism, charm, and sincerity during the turbulent war years. While his career waned after the golden age of MGM, he remained a beloved figure for his musicals, comedies, and wartime dramas. He received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and is remembered as one of MGM's most iconic male stars of the 1940s. Death Van Johnson died on December 12, 2008, at the age of 92, in Nyack, New York. His passing marked the end of an era for fans of classic Hollywood musicals and wartime films. Van Johnson, extended biography. Early life and struggles, 1916 to 1935. Van Johnson was born Charles Van Dell Johnson on August 25, 1916, in Newport, Rhode Island. His childhood was unsettled. His mother abandoned the family when he was young, leaving him with his father, a stern and often distant man. Johnson often described himself as a lonely child, finding escape in movies and the stage. At Rogers High School, he developed a love for performing, singing in choirs and participating in plays. After graduation in 1935, he left Rhode Island for New York City, determined to pursue a show business career despite lacking connections or money. Early stage career and Broadway break, 1935 to 1941, in New York. Johnson scraped by doing small stage roles, chorus work, and nightclub performances. He danced in revues like New Faces of 1936, and later appeared in Broadway musicals including Too Many Girls, 1939, where he met Daisy Arnaz. Though his roles were small, his striking looks and natural charm began to attract attention. He briefly understudied Gene Kelly in Pal Joey. That connection would later help him when he transitioned to Hollywood. Hollywood debut and MGM stardom, 1942 to 1949. Johnson went to Hollywood in the early 1940s. His first film work was at Warner Brothers, but the studio didn't use him extensively. MGM, however, recognized his potential and signed him in 1942. A near-fatal automobile accident in 1943 left him with a metal plate in his head, which disqualified him from military service during World War II. Ironically, this became a turning point for his career. With many leading men away at war, Johnson rose quickly as a wholesome, all-American alternative. Key films of the 1940s. A Guy Named Joe, 1943, supporting role opposite Spencer Tracy and Irene Dunne. Two Girls and a Sailor, 1944, breakout romantic lead alongside June Allyson and Gloria DeHaven. 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, 1944, acclaimed war drama in which he played Lieutenant Ted Lawson. Easy to Wednesday, 1946, color remake of Libeled Lady, co-starring Lucille Ball, Esther Williams, and Keenan Wynn. State of the Union, 1948, political drama with Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. By the end of the decade, Johnson was one of MGM's top male stars. Marketed as the boy next door, with a cheerful smile, freckles, and red hair. Peak years and mature roles, 1950s. As he moved into the 1950s, Johnson began taking on more varied and serious roles. MGM and other studios cast him in dramas and thrillers in addition to musicals. Key films of the 1950s, The Caine Mutiny, 1954, played Lieutenant Steve Merrick, who challenges Humphrey Bogart's unstable Captain Queeg. Brigadoon, 1954, a Lerner and Loewe musical with Gene Kelly and Sid Charisse. The End of the Affair, 1955, romantic drama with Deborah Kerr, based on Graham Greene's novel. 23 Paces to Baker Street, 1956, suspense thriller where he played a blind playwright. Miracle in the Rain, 1956, melodrama co-starring Jane Wyman. Though still successful, Johnson's status began to shift as Hollywood changed. The studio system declined, new male stars, Marlon Brando, Rock Hudson, James Dean, emerged, and Johnson's clean-cut image seemed less fashionable. Career shifts and international work, 1960s–1970s. By the 1960s, Johnson's film stardom had waned. But he adapted by moving into television, stage work, and European cinema. Appeared in European films such as Divorce, Italian Style, 1961, and other international productions. Guest starred on numerous TV series, The Virginian, Batman, It Takes a Thief, Love, American Style. On stage, he toured in musicals like The Music Man, Guys and Dolls, and Damn Yankees. In 1968, after 21 years of marriage, Johnson divorced Evangeline, Evie, Nance Wynn, the ex-wife of his close friend Keenan Wynn. The marriage had long been rumored as one arranged by MGM for publicity. They had one daughter, Shotzi. Later career and respected veteran, 1980s to 1990s, Van Johnson reinvented himself as a beloved elder statesman of Hollywood. Appeared in Murder, She Wrote, The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, and many TV movies. Performed on stage well into his 70s, in productions of Le Cage aux Folles and on Golden Pond. Became a popular guest at classic film festivals, where audiences remembered him fondly as a symbol of 1940s optimism. Personal life and image. Van Johnson was long marketed by MGM as a wholesome bachelor heartthrob. But his personal life was complicated. His marriage to Evie Wynn was widely regarded as a studio-arranged union, and rumors about his sexuality circulated throughout his career. Johnson himself remained private, never directly addressing speculation. Off-screen, he was known as friendly, generous, and deeply professional. Many co-stars, including June Allison and Esther Williams, spoke warmly of him. Death and legacy. Van Johnson passed away on December 12, 2008, in Nyack, New York, at the age of 92. He left behind his daughter, Shotzi. Legacy remembered as one of MGM's most bankable wartime stars. Known as the boy next door of the 1940s, embodying optimism and charm. His performances in films like 30 Seconds Over Tokyo and The Caine Mutiny continue to be celebrated. He has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame at 6600 Hollywood Boulevard. Van Johnson, Comprehensive Biography. Childhood and Early Dreams, 1916 to 1935, born August 25, 1916, Newport, Rhode Island. Only child of Loretta and Charles Johnson. His mother abandoned the family when he was a child, and his father raised him with strictness but little warmth. Johnson often described himself as shy and lonely, but he found comfort in movies and performing arts. At Rogers High School, he excelled in drama, choir, and theater productions. After graduation, he set his sights on Broadway. Broadway and First Steps in Show Business, 1935 to 1941, Johnson arrived in New York City in the mid-1930s. He lived frugally, working odd jobs and chasing auditions. Appeared in the revue, New Faces of 1936, gaining early stage experience. Danced and sang in chorus lines of Broadway musicals like Too Many Girls, 1939, where he befriended Daisy Arnaz. Understudied Gene Kelly in Pal Joey, which helped him hone his stagecraft. Hollywood scouts began to notice him around 1940, and by 1942, he transitioned to film. The MGM Star Machine and Wartime Popularity, 1942 to 1949, Johnson signed with MGM, which molded him into the perfect boy next door leading man. car accident and military rejection in 1943. Johnson suffered a severe car accident, requiring a steel plate in his head. This injury kept him out of World War II military service. Ironically, this boosted his career since most leading men, Clark Gable, James Stewart, Tyrone Power, were serving overseas. MGM capitalized on his wholesome, patriotic appeal. Key 1940s films: A Guy Named Joe, 1943, supporting role. Breakout performance alongside Spencer Tracy and Irene Dunne. Two Girls and a Sailor, 1944, major hit with June Allyson and Gloria DeHaven. 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, 1944, played real-life Lieutenant Ted Lawson, praised for sincerity. Thrill of a Romance, 1945, romantic lead opposite Esther Williams. Easy to Wednesday, 1946, comedy remake with Lucille Ball and Esther Williams. High Barbary, 1947, wartime drama with June Allyson. State of the Union, 1948, political film with Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. By the end of World War II, Van Johnson was one of MGM's top box office draws, especially beloved by female audiences for his affable, clean-cut image. Transition and diversification, 1950s. In the 1950s, Johnson sought to expand beyond musicals and light romances. He appeared in dramas, thrillers, and international projects. Key 1950s films: Battleground, 1949, a World War II drama. Considered one of his finest performances. Grounds for Marriage, 1951, comedy with Kathryn Grayson. The Caine Mutiny, 1954, critically acclaimed role as Lieutenant Steve Merrick opposite Humphrey Bogart. Brigadoon, 1954, Lerner and Loewe musical with Gene Kelly, though a box office disappointment. The Last Time I Saw Paris, 1954, romantic drama with Elizabeth Taylor. 23 Paces to Baker Street, 1956, mystery thriller, playing a blind playwright. Miracle in the Rain, 1956, wartime melodrama with Jane Wyman. Web of Evidence, 1959, British crime thriller. Johnson remained busy, though younger stars like Rock Hudson and Marlon Brando overshadowed him as Hollywood shifted toward realism. Television, theater, and international work, 1960s–1970s. As the studio system declined, Johnson pivoted to new opportunities. Television. Guest roles on Batman, The Virginian, Love, American Style, Marcus Welby, M.D., and The Love Boat. Stage. Starred in road tours of The Music Man, Guys and Dolls, Damn Yankees, and On a Clear Day You Can See Forever. Film abroad. Worked in European productions, especially in Britain and Italy. He remained a versatile performer, able to handle musicals, comedies, and dramas. Later career and enduring popularity, 1980s to 1990s, even in his senior years. Johnson stayed active. Stage. Appeared in La Cage aux Folles, On Golden Pond, and other productions. Television. Guest starred in Murder, She Wrote and Fantasy Island. Became a favorite at nostalgia festivals and TCM tributes, where his wartime films remained beloved. Personal life: married Evangeline, Evie, Nance Wynn in 1947, previously married to his close friend, actor Keenan Wynn. The marriage produced a daughter, Shotzi, but ended in divorce in 1968. Their marriage was widely rumored to have been arranged by MGM to quell speculation about Johnson's private life. Johnson never remarried. Known for his kindness and professionalism, he was well liked by co-stars such as June Allyson, Esther Williams, and Spencer Tracy. Death. Van Johnson died on December 12, 2008, in Nyack, New York, at age 92. He had lived quietly in retirement, still remembered fondly by fans of classic Hollywood. Legacy known as MGM's Golden Boy and the Ultimate Boy Next Door during the 1940s. His wholesome, optimistic persona provided comfort during World War II, making him one of the most popular stars of the era. Left behind a legacy of musicals, romances, and war dramas that continue to be celebrated in classic film circles. Has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Select filmography highlights. Here are some of his most significant films. A Guy Named Joe, 1943, co-starred Spencer Tracy, Irene Dunne. Two Girls and a Sailor, 1944, with June Allison. Gloria DeHaven, 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, 1944, with Spencer Tracy. Thrill of a Romance, 1945, with Esther Williams. Easy to Wednesday, 1946, with Lucille Ball, Esther Williams. High Barbary, 1947, with June Allison. State of the Union, 1948, with Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy. Battleground, 1949, World War II drama. The Caine Mutiny, 1954, with Humphrey Bogart. Brigadoon, 1954, with Gene Kelly, Sid Charisse. The Last Time I Saw Paris, 1954, with Elizabeth Taylor. 23 Paces to Baker Street, 1956, blind playwright in suspense thriller. Miracle in the Rain, 1956, with Jane Wyman. Web of Evidence, 1959, British crime drama. Yours, Mine and Ours, 1968, ensemble comedy with Lucille Ball, Henry Fonda. Early career struggles and breakthrough. Before MGM, Johnson struggled to find steady work in New York and Hollywood. He often took small parts in chorus roles, even performing as a stand-in and understudy. His big break came when Lucille Ball, a friend and supporter, introduced him to MGM casting executives. Ball's encouragement helped him land a contract that launched him into stardom. Johnson was in a serious car accident in 1943 that left him with a metal plate in his head, scarring his face. MGM was considering releasing him, but fellow stars like Spencer Tracy advocated for him. Ironically, this injury exempted him from World War II service, allowing him to become one of the few young male stars available during the wartime years. This timing elevated his career dramatically. MGM stardom and screen persona. Johnson quickly developed a screen persona as the boy next door type, cheerful, wholesome, reliable, and romantic. MGM capitalized on his clean-cut charm to appeal to female audiences during wartime. His chemistry with June Allison was especially popular. They were often paired as the ideal American couple. Johnson also worked with stars like Judy Garland, Esther Williams, Katharine Hepburn, and Elizabeth Taylor, cementing his reputation as a versatile leading man. Unlike actors such as Clark Gable or Humphrey Bogart, Johnson was not a rugged screen presence. Instead, his success lay in his approachability and sincerity, which made him stand out in comedies, romances, and musicals. Transitioned to dramatic roles. Although best known for light-hearted films, Johnson proved he could handle serious drama. In The Caine Mutiny, 1954, he portrayed Lieutenant Merrick, a conflicted naval officer who challenges Humphrey Bogart's paranoid Captain Queeg. His restrained, thoughtful performance won critical respect. In Endless Night, 1972, an adaptation of Agatha Christie's work, he explored darker character territory. This versatility kept him employed for decades, even as the studio system collapsed. Television and stage career. As film roles declined in the late 1950s and 1960s, Johnson pivoted to television and stage work. He appeared in popular TV series such as The Doris Day Show, Love, American Style, Ellery Queen, and Murder, She Wrote. He was a frequent guest on variety shows and game shows, beloved for his easygoing personality. On stage, Johnson thrived in touring productions and Broadway revivals of musicals like The Music Man, Guys and Dolls, Hello, Dolly, and La Cage aux Folles. Theater gave him a new artistic outlet and allowed him to stay connected with audiences well into his later years. Personal life and speculation. Johnson married Evangeline Evie Nance Wynn in 1947. Under unusual circumstances, she had divorced actor Keenan Wynn, a close friend of Johnson's, and MGM reportedly encouraged the marriage to quell rumors about Johnson's private life. The union produced one daughter, Shotzi, but ended in divorce in 1968. Though charming and social, Johnson was intensely private. Hollywood gossip often speculated about his sexuality, with claims that MGM orchestrated his marriage for publicity reasons. Johnson himself never publicly addressed these rumors, preferring to maintain his boyish, clean-cut image. He spent much of his later life in New York, living quietly but occasionally appearing at film festivals and retrospectives celebrating MGM's golden age. Later years and legacy. In his final decades, Johnson embraced his status as a Hollywood veteran. He became a beloved guest at classic film events, often warmly recalling his MGM days. Fans appreciated his humor and candor about the studio system, though he rarely revealed much about his personal struggles. Van Johnson is remembered for his musicals and romances, which embodied the optimism of 1940s and 1950s Hollywood. His versatility, moving from musicals to war dramas to stage musicals. His longevity, with a career spanning more than 5 decades. His image as an everyman, offering audiences a comforting presence during World War II and beyond. Death. Van Johnson died on December 12, 2008, at age 92, in Nyack, New York. His passing was noted by critics and fans worldwide, who remembered him as one of the last great stars of MGM's golden age. Childhood and formative years. Van Johnson's early life in Newport, Rhode Island, was marked by instability. His mother left when he was a child, leaving him largely in the care of his father, who struggled with alcohol. Johnson found comfort in performance, singing, dancing, and acting. Friends remembered him as shy but determined, often retreating into movies and theater for escape. By the late 1930s, he had made his way to New York City, performing in small nightclubs, then landing chorus and dancing roles in Broadway musicals like Too Many Girls. His ambition stood out, even when roles were small. He worked tirelessly to perfect his performance. The 1943 car accident and career shift. A defining moment in Johnson's life came in 1943. He was in a serious car accident that fractured his skull and required a metal plate in his head. The injuries could have ended his career, but MGM invested in his recovery. While Spencer Tracy visited and reassured him that his career wasn't over. Ironically, the accident saved his career in another way. He was declared unfit for military service during World War II. With most of Hollywood's leading men away at war, Johnson quickly rose to stardom as one of the few available all-American romantic heroes. MGM's golden boy at MGM. Johnson was promoted as the boy next door, heartthrob, wholesome, cheerful, approachable. Women adored his sincerity and charm, while men respected his honesty on screen. Some of his most popular MGM films included Two Girls and a Sailor, 1944, a lively wartime musical hit. 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, 1944, a patriotic war drama where Johnson earned praise for his emotional depth. Easy to Wednesday, 1946, a comedy with Esther Williams. In The Good Old Summertime, 1949, opposite Judy Garland, Johnson was often paired with June Allyson, and audiences loved their warm chemistry. They became one of MGM's most bankable screen teams. Transition into mature roles in the 1950s, Johnson shifted into more mature characters. The Caine Mutiny, 1954, his role as L.T. Merrick opposite Humphrey Bogart showcased his ability to play dramatic tension. Brigadoon, 1954, a fantasy musical, where he played Jeff Douglas, offering comic relief opposite Gene Kelly. The End of the Affair, 1955, a romantic drama co-starring Deborah Kerr. Though his career never reached the superstar level of Gable or Tracy, he carved out a solid niche as a dependable, versatile actor. Television and stage resurgence. As the studio system declined in the 1960s, Johnson reinvented himself through television and theater. He appeared in shows like Murder, She Wrote, The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, and Ellery Queen. On stage, he thrived in musicals and comedies, including The Music Man, Guys and Dolls, Hello, Dolly, and La Cage aux Folles. He became especially popular on the summer stock and touring circuit, beloved by live audiences for his warmth and energy. Johnson's ability to reinvent himself helped him remain visible for decades. Even as Hollywood moved away from the golden era. Personal life and public image. In 1947, Johnson married Evangeline, Evie, Nance Wynn, the ex-wife of actor Keenan Wynn. This marriage was heavily rumored to be orchestrated by MGM, designed to maintain his public image and quiet speculation about his private life. They had one daughter, Shotzi, and divorced in 1968. Hollywood insiders long whispered about Johnson's sexuality, with speculation that MGM carefully shaped his public persona to protect his career. Johnson himself never publicly addressed these rumors, preferring to maintain discretion. Despite these challenges, he was known as friendly, kind, and loyal in Hollywood circles. Co-stars like June Allyson, Judy Garland, and Spencer Tracy praised him for his warmth and professionalism. Later years. By the 1980s and 1990s, Johnson had become a nostalgic figure, appearing at film festivals, classic movie retrospectives, and interviews about MGM's heyday. Fans cherished his stories of working with stars like Garland, Kelly, and Allison. He lived quietly in New York in his final years, occasionally taking guest TV roles and stage appearances. Despite being away from Hollywood's spotlight, he remained beloved among classic film enthusiasts. Death and legacy. Van Johnson passed away on
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.